In 1957, a young boy was found abandoned in a cardboard box for 65 years. No one ever figured out why. No parent came forward, no family spoke, no killer was ever named. This is the story of America's unknown child. Philadelphia, February 1957. The city was cold that month, gray and silent beneath a winter sky that offered no warmth. On the northeastern edge of the city, in a desolate stretch of woodland near Fox Chase, nature had been left to reclaim the land-dense thickets, frozen earth, bare branches, catching the pale light. It was the kind of place people passed through, but never stayed. Someone had counted on that. On an ordinary winter afternoon, a college student made his way through the underbrush. He was searching for a path, one that would lead him to a nearby home for wayward youths. It was a routine errand, unremarkable, the kind of walk a person takes 100 times and remembers none of them. He had no reason to expect anything unusual. He was simply walking. Then he saw it, a JCPenney cardboard box, discarded at the edge of the trail inside. There was a figure. His first thought was that it was a doll. He kept walking. He told himself it meant nothing. But something followed him out of those woods that afternoon, something he could not name and could not shake. 2 days later, a news report broke across the city. A young girl was missing somewhere in the Fox Chase area. The student's mind returned to the box, to the figure inside. He went back. This time he looked closer, and in that moment the world he understood ceased to exist. It was not a doll. He called the police. When investigators arrived, what they found would haunt them for the rest of their careers. A boy between 4 and 6 years old, wrapped carefully in a simple flannel blanket, as if someone had tucked him in for the very last time. His hair had been recently cut, crudely, unevenly, as though done in haste by someone unfamiliar with care. Clumps of it still rested on his small body, as though it had been done moments before he was placed inside. Someone had prepared him, someone had arranged him, and then someone had walked away, and no one had looked back. Detectives moved with urgency. Over 400,000 flyers bearing the boy's image were distributed across the country. His photograph appeared in newspapers, on telephone poles, in shop windows, in bus stations and post offices. From Pennsylvania to California, the nation looked, and no one came forward. No parent, no neighbor, no teacher reported a child matching his description as missing. He had no record, no file, no footprint in the world of the living. He was given a name not by a family who loved him, but by a headline: America's unknown child. Over the decades that followed, investigators refused to let the case die quietly. One detective pursued a lead given to him by a psychic, tracing it to a foster home on the outskirts of the city. He was certain he was wrong. The trail dissolved into silence once more. Then years later, a woman came forward with a claim that shook the case to its foundation. Her mother, she said, had purchased the boy. Not adopted, not fostered, purchased. She described a household of cruelty, of secrecy, of a family who had taken a child and erased him from the world while he was still alive. But her story, as haunting as it was, could never be fully proven. The records no longer existed. The witnesses were gone. And the truth slipped away once more into the dark. Then 65 years after that February morning in Fox Chase, science gave the boy a name in 2022. Using advanced forensic genealogy and DNA analysis, investigators made an announcement that had been decades in the waiting. The boy had a name: Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Say it slowly. He deserves that much. Joseph Augustus Zarelli. For the first time in more than 6 decades, he was no longer unknown. But his story did not end there, because even now, even with a name, the questions that have haunted this case for generations remain unanswered. Who were his parents? How did he die? Who placed him in that box and walked away without a word? Investigators believe the key witnesses are gone, that the truth died with the people who held it. Joseph Zarelli has a name now. He still does not have justice. A small grave in Philadelphia bears his name now. Joseph Augustus Zarelli, no longer unknown, no longer nameless, and yet the truth of what happened in the last hours of his life. What hands placed him in that box? What hearts, if any, grieved for him, after remains buried in the silence of those who chose never to speak? And to this day the truth remains unknown, the ledger remains open,